Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Frank again. Today, I wanted to talk to you guys about your inner narrative and the importance that it has on how your life progresses and what kind of goes on in your life, and the impacts that your inner narrative can have on how good or bad your day is and how good or bad your life is. Honestly, a great philosopher, Homer Simpson, once said, to alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. And there was a time in life where I thought that alcohol might have been the cause of and solution to all of life's problems. I've found a different cause of and solution to all of life's problems, and that's your inner narrative. That little voice inside your head that tells you whether something's good or bad, or how to feel about something or whatnot. That inner narrative that you have playing in your head is the cause of and or solution to all of your problems in life. You can take any scenario or any situation and apply good or bad thoughts towards that problem. And whatever your brain or whatever those thoughts are, good or bad, that's going to be the self-fulfilling prophecy that plays out with that situation. So it's important in that sense to make sure that your thoughts are pure and good and well-intentioned, and not going down that negative spiral of, whatever the situation may be. If you're dealing with a situation at work and you just keep telling yourself, God, man, this is never going to get any better. Work just is terrible. My boss is this or that coworker is that. It's always got that negative connotation. It's going to stay that way for you, and that will always be how that scenario or situation is going to be, so long as you keep telling yourself that in your inner narrative. Or you can tell yourself, hey, work's not that bad. There's this one situation that I just got to figure out, but really work isn't that bad in the grand scheme of things. And just focus on the positive in that situation, or what can you do to resolve the negative that's going on there? What is the problem that you're facing, and how can you come up with a solution for it? Start thinking about that. Start making that part of your inner narrative, and start making sure that you're focusing on finding that solution, instead of just constantly telling yourself, oh, it's bad and woe is me, yada yada yada. You can apply this to any area in life, whether it's work, personal relationships. If you're struggling with somebody in a relationship, if your wife, your kids, your husband, your mom, your dad, whoever it is, if you're telling yourself, you're setting yourself up for failure with, those negative thoughts of, oh, I bet you this person's going to come out and say this, or I bet you that person's going to do this in this situation. Well, guess what? You're basically like setting up that self-fulfilling prophecy for things to go awry. And I say that because your attitude and your energy towards that is you're already on edge before something is even happening in that situation. And so you're already going to be on a defensive or on some kind of a negative wavelength with that person or that scenario. So you're setting yourself up for that to play out in a bad favor. Whereas if you were to go into that situation just neutrally and just live and let live, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and then you just kind of, figure it out from there, or with at least a positive mindset, in the sense that, oh yeah, I get to see this person today, hopefully we can, figure out a solution to our problem, or hopefully we can kind of mend some fences, or whatever kind of positive affirmation or thought that you might want to apply towards it. It'll change the dynamic of the situation. I can guarantee you that. I spent a lot of years always going into things just having that negative attitude towards people, towards situations, towards different things in life, and it ruined a lot of different things that I wish that I could take back. And having a different mindset kind of really changed my outlook and perspective on things, just by changing that inner narrative to a more positive thought, a more positive, forward thinking, mindset. I read a book called Think Again by Adam Grant, which really kind of helped change that frame of mind. And, don't get stuck in those negative thought patterns. Don't get stuck in your old ways of thinking. If you've been in a situation for a long time and nothing seems to change, take a look at your thoughts and start thinking about what you've been thinking about. And when you start thinking about those situations, where does your thought pattern go? Like, where does it take you? If it starts taking you down that negative road, then hey, maybe flip the switch and turn that negative road into a positive road, and start seeing what kind of differences you might have. Another good book that kind of helped with that is, I think it's Jordan Tarver, Don't Believe Everything That You Think. You build these narratives up in your head, and sometimes you follow them so fluently that you start believing a false reality. You start believing things are so terrible, or you start believing things are never going to change or anything like that. And, you start believing things that aren't true because you've ran through these negative, narratives for so long that it feels real. So start changing the way that you think. Start thinking a little bit differently about the situations, and start thinking towards the positive instead of always towards the negative. And hopefully that will help change some of your outlook, and start changing some of those scenarios to your favor. It sounds kind of cliche to say, that a lot of the woo-woo people are like, oh yeah, just positive thinking and all that stuff. But if you really actually apply those positive thoughts and a positive mindset to things, you'll start to notice a difference in life, and you'll feel better. You'll get better results out of things, and I really think it'll help. So hopefully, if that's something that you might struggle with, you feel stuck in your positive. If you feel stuck in your thinking, and you can't seem to get out of a situation, start trying to reframe how you think about it and think differently in that inner narrative that's going on in your head. So I'm already rambling for a little bit here, so I'll cut this one here. But if you guys have any questions or thoughts or anything on that, hit me up, let me know. Hopefully this one helps. Love y'all.